Hello all, welcome to the Lucid main session by Ekam IAS. Our today's topic is man-animal conflict. To study this, we will look into why this is in news, what was Supreme Court's order, what government says, what are the arguments by different agencies, what was WWF's report, why man-animal conflict, way forward and conclusion. First, why this is in news. Man-animal conflict, or more correctly, human-animal conflict, has shown its ugly head again in the country with the recent incidents that took place in recent months. The first case happened was in Yavatmal district in eastern Maharashtra's Vidarbha region, where a tigress named Avni or T1, accused of killing 13 people, has been killed by the government. Another case was in Amravati district, again in Maharashtra. A tiger 2 years old this time has killed 2 people and orders have been issued to tranquilize it. And tranquilize means to sedate and capture, okay. Then the next was in Odisha's Satkosia Tiger Reserve, where experts managed to tranquilize Sundari, a tigress brought from Madhya Pradesh as part of a tiger reintroduction program. This Sundari is said to have killed 2 persons inside the reserve. Then, in another case, a dead body was found in a pit in Odisha, which has now been identified as that of a tiger, which was allegedly killed by the poachers. Another brutal case in which villagers in northern India crushed a tiger to death with a tractor after it was accused of killing a farmer. This took place inside the Dundwa Wildlife Reserve in Uttar Pradesh, making it a criminal offence under the Wildlife Protection Act. Also that, between August to October this year, more than a dozen of elephants died of electrocution in the eastern and northeastern parts of India, including 7 in Odisha's Denkanal district. Next, we will look at what was Supreme Court's order in killing Avni. Supreme Court rejected the petitions of the activists against the killing of tigress and said that the efforts to tranquilize and capture the tigress will continue, and if unsuccessful, it shall be eliminated by shooting to avoid any further loss of human life. And now, what government says about the killing. They said that T1 tigress was a man-eater and had been tracked by the forest officials for last 2 years. The efforts to capture her alive and to move her out of the conflict zone has failed repeatedly. Also, the matters were made more difficult by the fact that T1 had 2 adolescent cubs. So now, we will look at the arguments of those who support the elimination of a problem-making animal if a conflict occurs. First, they say that from the larger perspective of animal conservation, in order to achieve the larger goal of saving animals in the wild, the loss of a few individual animals is unavoidable when human lives and public order are at stake. Also that the definition of hunting in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 includes both killing and capturing. The Chief Wildlife Warden or CWLW is empowered to permit hunting of any wild animal by an order in writing after being satisfied that it poses a danger to the human life. In Avni's case, the warden's order passed judicial scrutiny with the Bombay High Court and the Supreme Court permitting the tranquilization and shooting of T1. They are of the opinion that the area where T1 was operating is highly fragmented and was surrounded by villages. And this is not a protected tiger reserve, which is being damaged by the people and caused the conflict. Also, since tiger is a territorial animal and intense fights for space between them results with the weaker tigers being pushed out of the heavy forest areas. Such tigers could come in conflict with the humans. And when conflicts become severe, the tiger must be identified quickly and captured or even killed as a last resort. Scientists who have studied animals for decades are of the view that capturing or killing problem-making animals is absolutely essential in the larger interest of saving the species. They also say that in the case of Avni, tranquilization was tried but did not succeed because to be effective, the tranquilizer dart or the bullet has to hit the muscular portion of the animal, and achieving an accurate shot through the thick forest is not that easy. Even a heavy wind can deflect the dart from its flight path. Moreover, a tranquilized man-eater animal cannot be released into another forest because it will unleash terror on the local people there. It may even fight with other tigers already in that area. So it has to be kept in captivity where it suffers enormous stress until it finally dies. Finally, from a wildlife management perspective, it is of vital importance to resolve such severe conflicts decisively to ensure that the public support for conservation is never lost. When such action is not taken, the first and most vulnerable targets will be the frontline forest staff. In some extreme situations, as in the recent conflict in Dudhwa Reserve, angry mob may even enter the national parks, overrun the forest posts and kill other innocent tigers or set fire to the forest. Now we will look at what are the arguments against killing. Wildlife activists allege that there is no proof to attribute all the killings to the tigress T1. If the people entering the forest area gets killed by the tigress, it doesn't make her a man-eater. A man-eater is a carnivore that hunts humans for food, who refrains from eating any other animal. It is not the one that has attacked, injured or killed a human out of self-defense or fear. They argue that if a man-eating animal is real, then there would have been killings every day. They say that human beings are not natural prey of animals, and it is only when they are incapacitated through wounds or old age, they are compelled to eat human flesh for survival. Another strong point that they make is that killing an animal without deploying a veterinarian who might have been able to capture her non-lethally is against the standard operating procedures for dealing a wild animal. They points out that an analysis of data about elephant deaths in India shows that in every year about 50 elephants are dying on an average due to electrocution. That means a total of 461 elephants died due to electrocution in the last 9 years. Now we will look at what World Wild Fund reported about Earth's wildlife population. This report says that Earth's wild animal population reduced by almost 60% in last 44 years. From 1970 to 2014, 60% of all animals with a backbone, that means including fish, birds, amphibians, reptiles and mammals, were wiped out by the human activities across the globe. Also, when measured by weight or biomass, wild animals today only account for 4% of total mammals on Earth, with humans and livestock making up the rest. Globally, between 2000 to 2014, the world has lost 9,20,000 square kilometers of intact or minimally disturbed forest. This is an area roughly the size of Pakistan and Germany combined. The report underlines that, unlike population declines, these damages are irreversible. The data in this report could be used in many questions that may come in GS1, GS2 and GS3. Now we will look at the core of this session. Why man-animal conflict occurs. The Wildlife Protection Act 1972 saved several species from near extinction, but it has created new challenges, most of which remains unaddressed. Our country's booming population and growing towns and cities made forests shrink into small islands. A very few studies have attempted to evaluate the carrying capacities of today's protected reserves. The Forest Survey of India considers almost every patch of green as a forest. But for animals to live, it should be a functional forest cover. That means the forest has to have enough food and water. Also, the tigers, leopards and most such animals are not static. That means they move and they cannot be kept in one place. So when the tiger, which is hungry, moves from one tiger reserve to another, in between they finds a lot of cattle or human disturbances. And usually they are very easy to catch. Thus animals which comes too close to human settlements may even attack people. Similarly, rhinos, elephants, leopards, etc. are creating problems in many parts of India. Another issue that could be read with this is the crackdown of beef industry. The abandoned cattle moving here and there attracts tigers and they often move out of the forest to attack them. Unless land to animal ratio is well maintained and illegal grazing is stopped, the man-animal conflict is going to increase in India. Also, it is a wrong thought that the animals are increasing. In reality, the human intrusion has increased and it needs to be reduced over time. Now, the way forward. Unlike most of us who live almost our entire lives in a city, the lives of those who live near forests are linked with forests. That means tigers, leopards, jungle cats visits their fields, and in turn the villagers go to the forest for water, wood and other essentials. Thus humans and animals have coexisted for thousands of years. So killing the animals, that is the lethal method, will not help to solve the issue because another animal will surely take its place. So the non-lethal methods that we could use to mitigate the conflicts are: first, there needs to have an enhanced animal research in the habitats. That means the researchers in wildlife from many universities and institutes around may be encouraged to perform studies on the dynamics of animal movement, prey-predator balance and human conflict issues. A long-term scientific animal monitoring program would not only help in getting an account of the transient and resident animals, but also the status of the individual animals by helping in identifying the problem creators. Also, the information on animal movement in an area can be used for taking major steps to prevent human-animal conflict, and it can also be shared with the local villagers, alerting them to avoid using the high-risk areas. Then there is a need to establish a system of wildlife intelligence to regularly check the movement of animals near the villages that lies near the forest. This should be a participatory process in which local people and the government works as a team. Thirdly, a conservation awareness program designed to educate the local people on the animals and the needs of conservation must be put in place from time to time. Support of local people is very critical when it comes to wildlife conservation in the human-dominated areas. The expertise of World Wild Fund or the Wildlife Trust of India could be used here. The forest officials can be trained to monitor wild animals in addition to their current job. Next, there is a need to create a rapid response team equipped with latest equipments comprising of tranquilizing kits, cages, nets, GPS, etc. as per the standards laid down by the National Tiger Conservation Authority or NTCA. The team must consist of experts trained in darting, tracking and handling of animals. Sixth one is that along with taking measures to stop illegal electrical fencing and having proper guidelines for maintaining the height of high tension electrical wires, there need to be a greater coordination between the forest department and other agencies including the power department for continuous monitoring of the electrical wires passing through the areas of animal movement. Next, we need to come up with a proper zone-wise management plan for different animal landscapes, that is, where to allow animals and where to restrict their movements. There is a need for greater surveillance and protection of the animal corridors. Eighth one is that we have to install physical barriers and early warning systems as well as using trained elephants to drive away animals from the villages. Fence all national parks and ensure availability of food and water for animals inside the forest so that they don't go into human inhabitations. And improved livestock management by eliminating livestock grazing within the tiger habitat might reduce or eliminate predation on livestock. Next is to relocate human settlements, which is a preventive measure which helps to prevent human-animal conflict rather than dealing it after the conflict has occurred. 12th is to reduce animal injuries because tigers and other wild animals that has attacked the people and livestock more often were wounded animals, and the wounds are usually caused by snares, traps and gunshots. And easily available compensations, insurance and incentive programs helps to reduce the impact of human-wildlife conflicts because this enables the locals to tolerate wildlife for the sake of money. This also provides alternative sources of income to the people. Another major one is that the use of non-lethal control measures like tiger translocation, fear-provoking stimuli and chemical repellents, which are more suitable for vulnerable and endangered species like tigers because they helps to maintain the population as no killing is involved here. These measures are not only effective but also applicable, acceptable and cost effective for the communities on a large scale. So as a conclusion note, these incidents are a grim reminder of how ill-prepared we were to handle the incidents of human-animal conflict, and they also threaten India's conservation efforts. Killing of these endangered animals is never a solution, and what we require is a humane and professional handling of all animals, an effective coordination between all departments, enhanced sensitivity among local peoples for protecting the wildlife, and a responsible media reporting to highlight the problems involved in human-wildlife conflict situations. So that's all, and thanks for watching.